I would love to get an honest answer on what they think is in the best interest of the team this year and into the future with this top five protected pick hanging over them.
Right.
Because, there's a hyper focus on it. Can they tank? Can they get there? And the way they're playing, they are tanking. It's
Right.
spontaneous tanking. It wasn't planned. It's certainly, I don't believe it's what Craig Berube is aware of and trying to execute. They're just playing tank
Poorly.
hockey. Like that's how
Poorly.
they play.
Yeah.
But if they, let's say they get into the top five, they keep the pick this year, then it rolls over to Boston unprotected. And then the Philly pick rolls over, I believe, unprotected. So you're doing this dance for a couple of years.
For many seasons, the Toronto Maple Leafs stayed near the top of the NHL standings. The team was known for its strong offense and star players. But recently, the numbers began to change. A series of losses pushed the team into one of its weakest runs in years. Hockey reporters started discussing something unusual for Toronto. Some began talking about draft lottery scenarios as the standings shifted. The change became clear during a run of games that many analysts followed closely. According to reports, the Maple Leafs won only 3 games in a span of 15. The report described the run with a strong line. It said the team's early momentum fizzled into the worst stretch in the NHL. That short period of games quickly changed the conversation around Toronto's season. During those games, the team scoring dropped in several matchups. The defense also struggled at times. Goaltending results moved up and down from game to game. The hockey writers explained that Toronto's strong start had suddenly slowed down. As losses continued, the team moved closer to the middle of the conference standings. Much of the attention turned toward the players who lead Toronto's offense. The team built its scoring around forwards like Auston Matthews, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander. These players have been the main part of the Maple Leafs attack for several seasons. Even during the losing stretch, they stayed in key roles on the top lines. Matthews has been Toronto's top goal scorer since he entered the NHL. He has led the team in goals in multiple seasons. During the difficult stretch, reporters continued to watch his performance closely. Game reports tracked his shots, scoring chances, and ice time. Toronto still relied on him to produce offense while the team tried to stop the losing run. Marner also stayed in a major role during the slump. He is known for his passing ability and playmaking. Over several seasons, he has often led the team in assists. During the stretch of losses, analysts studied Toronto's passing plays and puck movement. They wanted to see if the offense could return to its earlier form. Nylander continued to create chances as well. His shot totals remained high in many games. Game summaries reported that he was active in the offensive zone. However, those chances did not always turn into victories. Toronto often created scoring opportunities, but still finished games without a win. Defense soon became another major part of the discussion. Reports noted that the team allowed more goals than usual in several matchups. Defensive coverage sometimes broke down during key moments of games. Coaches also changed defensive pairings while trying to find a better balance on the ice. At the same time, attention turned toward the team's front office. General Manager Brad Treliving is responsible for building the roster. His job includes trades, contracts, and long-term planning. As losses continued, analysts discussed whether the team might need roster changes in the future. Another important topic began to appear in reports. As the Maple Leafs moved down the standings, people started discussing draft lottery possibilities. When a team finishes near the bottom of the NHL standings, it receives better odds in the draft lottery. That system gives teams a chance to select top young players in the upcoming draft. Talking about draft position is unusual for Toronto. In recent years, the Maple Leafs have often been viewed as a playoff team. Their strong offense has kept them near the top of the league in scoring. Because of that history, the recent slump attracted attention across the hockey world. Fans and media outlets in both Canada and the United States began analyzing the situation closely. Television broadcasts and post-game shows compared the current stretch to earlier seasons. Analysts reviewed past playoff runs and roster decisions while discussing what had gone wrong. The structure of the roster also became part of the conversation. Matthews, Marner, and Nylander all hold major contracts. Together, those deals represent a large portion of Toronto's salary cap. Those contracts were designed to keep the team competitive for many seasons. When the losing stretch appeared, analysts began examining how the roster was built. Some reports looked at defensive depth and balance across the lineup. Others focused on whether the team needed changes to improve its results. Meanwhile, the NHL schedule continued. Teams play more than 80 games in a regular season. A losing run during any part of that schedule can quickly affect the standings. Toronto's 15-game stretch showed how quickly a team's position can change. Each game during that run created more discussion among reporters. Game scores, goals, and shot totals were reviewed after every matchup. As the losses continued, the spotlight on the Maple Leafs grew stronger. Goaltending results also became part of the analysis. Goalies faced heavy shot totals in several games. Save percentages moved up and down during the stretch. Reports connected those results to defensive coverage and puck control in the defensive zone. As games continued, the standings kept updating across the league. Analysts watched Toronto's point totals closely. They compared those numbers with other teams fighting for playoff spots and teams near the bottom of the standings. For the Maple Leafs, the stretch became one of the most talked about runs of the season. A team that began the year with strong expectations suddenly faced a difficult period. Losses had changed the conversation around the franchise, and as the season continued, the standings still had the power to shift again.
Yeah, very happy with the moves. I think all the guys we brought in, all three of them from Chicago, there are good adds. Obviously Murph with his size, and defense hard, and same with Dickinson and Doc, obviously a young guy that plays physical, plays with an edge, and still trying to find his way in this league, and's got lots of potential. So I like all three.
A sudden reaction from inside the Edmonton Oilers locker room changed the entire conversation around the NHL trade deadline. 3 players arrived from Chicago within hours, and then Connor McDavid spoke. His message backed the Oilers' new roster moves and quickly spread across hockey media. The trades were meant to fix a serious problem on the team, but what McDavid revealed next added another layer to the story. Connor McDavid publicly supported the Edmonton Oilers' trade deadline moves after the team completed multiple deals with the Chicago Blackhawks. The Oilers added defenseman Connor Murphy and forwards Jason Dickinson and Colton Dach in a series of transactions before the NHL deadline closed. These moves were part of Edmonton's effort to strengthen its defensive structure during the current season. The first trade brought Connor Murphy to Edmonton. The Oilers acquired the defenseman from Chicago in exchange for a 2028 second-round draft pick. Chicago retained 50% of Murphy's salary as part of the agreement. Murphy's a right-shot defenseman known for defensive coverage and physical play near the net. The 6'4" defenseman has spent several seasons playing shutdown roles against top offensive lines. Shortly after that move, Edmonton completed another trade with the Blackhawks. The Oilers acquired Jason Dickinson and Colton Dach. In return, Chicago received forward Andrew Mangiapane and a conditional first-round pick in the 2027 NHL draft. The Blackhawks again retained half of Dickinson's salary in the deal. Jason Dickinson arrived with extensive NHL experience. Before the trade, the center had played 549 regular season NHL games with Chicago, Vancouver, and Dallas. In those games, he recorded 74 goals and 94 assists for 168 points. Dickinson also appeared in 40 Stanley Cup playoff games, scoring 5 goals and adding 4 assists. Colton Dach joined the Oilers as a younger forward. Before the trade, he had played 78 NHL games, recording 5 goals and 11 assists. Dach also played in the American Hockey League with the Rockford IceHogs. In the AHL, he scored 23 goals and added 30 assists in 81 games. These additions came as Edmonton addressed defensive struggles during the season. Data from performance tracking showed the Oilers ranked 27 in the NHL in goals allowed per hour. The team also ranked near the bottom of the league in scoring chances allowed and inner slot shots allowed. The Oilers already had one of the most productive offensive groups in the NHL, led by Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Because of that, the trade deadline strategy focused on defense and penalty killing depth rather than scoring. After the trades became official, Connor McDavid addressed reporters about the new players joining the team. His response quickly became one of the most discussed reactions following the Oilers' deadline activity, and the words he used revealed exactly how he viewed the roster changes. Connor McDavid addressed reporters shortly after the Edmonton Oilers completed their deadline trades. His comments focused on the 3 players who arrived from Chicago. The Oilers captain explained that he had faced Jason Dickinson many times in previous NHL matchups. It'll be great. Definitely a guy I've played a lot against over the years. A guy that's always tough to play against. Defends well, he's a big body that skates well. He'll help a lot. McDavid also described the style Dickinson brings to the ice. His comments focused on defensive pressure and positioning that disrupts opposing players during games. As I said, he skates well and he's rangy and he's kind of just always there. That's obviously annoying to play against. The Oilers captain then spoke about the entire group of incoming players. His response confirmed clear support for the decisions made by Edmonton's management during the trade deadline period. Yeah, I'm very happy with the moves. I think all the guys we brought in, all three of them from Chicago there, are good adds. McDavid continued describing how the new players fit into the roster structure. His comments referenced defensive ability, size, and physical play. Obviously Murphy with his size and defends hard. Same with Dickinson and Dach, obviously a young guy that plays physical, plays with an edge, and is still trying to find his way in this league. He's got lots of potential. I like all three. During the same media session, McDavid also addressed the departure of Andrew Mangiapane. The forward had been part of the Oilers lineup before the trade. McDavid spoke about the personal impact that roster changes can have inside a team locker room. It's always the flip side of it. It's great to see guys come in, it's sad to see Mangiapane go, but there's the human side of it both ways. McDavid also discussed the role of draft picks in Edmonton's current competitive window. The Oilers captain indicated that the team's focus remains on immediate results rather than future selections. Finding a way to add without having to subtract is always a great thing. He then explained the organization's current approach to draft capital during this stage of the franchise. Given our stage and where we're at, draft picks aren't as valuable to us. I'm excited about the move. The Oilers had reached the Stanley Cup final in consecutive seasons before the current campaign, but lost both series to the Florida Panthers. Edmonton management therefore targeted roster depth and defensive stability as the team continued its push toward another playoff run.
What's your sense of Auston and how he's handling this?
He's been fine. Obviously, he's not happy about things and losing teammates too in the situation that we're in. He's like everybody else. Nobody is happy with that. But like I said, we can't change that. We only can go forward here, and what we do on the ice is important, and how we play is important.
The pressure on Auston Matthews is reaching another level in Toronto. The Toronto Maple Leafs captain has been one of the NHL's most reliable scorers for years, and the team's recent struggles have placed him directly at the center of a growing controversy. Comments from management and reactions across hockey media have only increased the attention, and now the story around Matthews is taking another turn. The recent struggles of the Toronto Maple Leafs have pushed team captain Auston Matthews into the center of a growing discussion across NHL media. Toronto entered the season with high expectations after several strong offensive seasons led by Matthews. He previously recorded multiple 50-goal seasons and won the Rocket Richard Trophy as the league's top goal scorer. Because of those numbers, Matthews has remained one of the most visible players in the NHL. During the current stretch of games, Toronto lost several key matchups and slipped in the standings, and the drop in results increased pressure on both the coaching staff and the team's core players. As Captain Matthews became the primary focus of that attention, his scoring pace slowed compared to earlier parts of the season, and analysts began tracking his production during each game of the losing run. The situation drew direct comments from Toronto Maple Leafs general manager Brad Treliving. During an interview covered by Maple Leafs media outlets, Treliving addressed Matthews' performance and the broader team structure. Treliving said Auston is entering his prime, but the team needs to find ways to support. The statement shifted part of the conversation toward the roster around Matthews, rather than placing responsibility on the captain alone. Treliving's remarks also confirmed that the organization still views Matthews as a central player in Toronto's long-term plan. Matthews signed a major contract extension with the Maple Leafs, keeping him as the face of the franchise for the coming seasons. His role as captain places him at the front of both the team's offense and its public leadership during difficult periods. Matthews responded to the losing stretch during interviews following recent games, and he spoke about the team's need to regain momentum as the schedule continued. Matthews said the team must focus on effort and compete harder every night, and he also explained that players needed to control what we can control and keep pushing. Those comments reflected the message coming from the Leafs captain as the team attempted to recover points in the standings. As the losing stretch continued, the discussion around Auston Matthews moved beyond scoring numbers and into leadership. Matthews became captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs before the start of the current season, which placed him in the role of the main voice for the team during both wins and losses. That position carries responsibility inside the locker room and also in front of the media. During the recent slump, Matthews continued appearing in post-game interviews where questions focused on the team's performance and direction. At the same time, Toronto's position in the standings became another measurable part of the story. The Maple Leafs had entered the season expected to compete near the top of the Atlantic Division, but instead, the team dropped several games in a short span, which reduced their margin in the playoff race. Each loss increased pressure on the roster and coaching staff as the schedule moved forward. Brad Treliving addressed the situation again while discussing the team's overall performance. Sports. In the same coverage where he spoke about Matthews' trade leaving, said the situation hasn't worked right. His comment referred to the team's results during the losing run, and the general manager avoided blaming a single player and instead pointed to the broader structure of the roster and the need for better results across the lineup. While those remarks circulated through hockey media, another topic surrounding Matthews appeared in reports. A former Maple Leafs player criticized Matthews for using an iPad on the bench during games. The device is commonly used by players and coaches to review shifts and analyze plays during NHL games. However, the criticism gained attention after the former player described the habit by saying it was like an addiction, and the comment quickly spread across hockey discussion platforms. The reaction added another layer of attention around the Leafs captain during the same stretch of games. Matthews remained one of the most productive players on the roster, despite the team's results. His career statistics still place him among the league's leading goal scorers over the past several seasons, and because of that history, every game during the slump drew closer analysis of his shots, scoring chances, and time on ice. At the same time, the Maple Leafs faced issues across several parts of their lineup. Defensive breakdowns allowed opponents to score multiple goals in recent games, and offensive support from other lines also declined during the stretch. Those factors combined to create the results that pushed the team further down the standing. Inside the locker room, Matthews continued delivering the same message about effort and response, but with every loss added to the schedule, pressure surrounding the captain and the Maple Leafs organization continued to grow.
Why do you believe Craig is still the right coach for this team?
Well, like everything else, Luke, we all take responsibility for it, and I think Craig's a terrific coach. It hasn't worked, right? So when it doesn't work, we all share a blame, and we all share responsibility in it, right? So it starts with myself, it's the coaches, it's the players.
Pressure is exploding around the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the team is suddenly under intense attention across the National Hockey League. A difficult losing streak pushed the organization into the spotlight, and criticism began spreading quickly across hockey media. Then, the general manager stepped forward and said something that surprised many reporters. Brad Treliving spoke openly about the struggles, the coach, and who should carry the blame. What he revealed about Craig Berube changed the conversation inside Toronto.
Listen, I'll answer all the questions and take responsibility for our season. I don't look at today as the autopsy day. We've got 19 games to go. But I think there's a whole host of reasons. I'll take responsibility. You know, we met earlier in the year through about the 20 game mark where we got off to a slow start. And again, the failures here start with me.
The Toronto Maple Leafs entered the season with strong expectations, and the roster included Captain Auston Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and John Tavares. The organization expected to compete near the top of the Atlantic Division. Instead, the team fell into a difficult stretch that raised concern across the league. During that stretch, the Maple Leafs lost several games in a short period, and the team struggled with consistency on both offense and defense. Injuries also affected the lineup, which created even more problems for the coaching staff. Forward Auston Matthews missed games earlier in the season with a lower body injury, while William Nylander also missed time because of injury concerns. Defenseman Chris Tanev was ruled out for a significant period because of a groin injury. These absences created instability in the roster while the team was already trying to recover from losses. The situation placed heavy attention on the coaching staff. Craig Berube was in his second season as head coach of the Maple Leafs. Berube joined Toronto after previously coaching the St. Louis Blues, and in 2019, he led the Blues to the Stanley Cup Championship. His reputation in the National Hockey League is connected to physical hockey and very direct communication with players. As the losses continued, questions started appearing in media coverage about the future of the coaching staff. Reporters asked whether Toronto might consider another coaching change if the results did not improve. That question quickly became the main topic surrounding the team. General manager Brad Treliving addressed the issue during a media availability with reporters. He began by acknowledging the team's poor start to the season, and he accepted responsibility for the situation. Treliving told reporters, "We are not where we want to be or where we believed we would be, and we have underperformed, and I take responsibility." The statement immediately shifted attention toward management accountability, because in the National Hockey League, the general manager is responsible for building the roster and making major decisions about the coaching staff and player contracts. Treliving's comment placed part of the responsibility directly on the front office. Reporters then asked about head coach Craig Berube because speculation had started that the losing streak could put Berube's position at risk. Treliving responded by defending the head coach and explaining that the organization still believed in his leadership. Treliving told reporters Craig did not become a bad coach overnight. He also explained explained that solving the problem would require effort from the entire organization, including the players, the coaching staff, and management. Treliving said, "The way out of it for me is not pointing fingers, but digging in together, and I have all the faith in the world in him." Those remarks made it clear that management was not placing the blame on the coach alone. The message from the front office was direct, and the Maple Leafs would attempt to correct their performance as a group. However, the head coach did point to problems with execution during game. Berube explained that coaches can provide systems and instructions, but the players must supply intensity and competitiveness during each shift. His comments focused on what he believed the team needed to change immediately. Berube told reporters they have to bring the heart and competitiveness that is needed, and they have to bring that, and they have to want to bring that. The coach also explained that emotional speeches alone cannot fix performance problems on the ice, and he described the limits of coaching influence once a game begins. Berube said, "We can bring the X's and O's, and I can go in there and yell and scream at them all I want, but that does not do anything either." Those remarks highlighted clear frustration inside the coaching staff. According to Berube, the team was not playing the type of hockey required to win games in the National Hockey League. The coach pointed to decision-making with the puck as one of the key problems during the losing stretch. Berube explained that the team needed to simplify its style of play, and he said the Maple Leafs were trying to make complicated plays instead of focusing on direct puck movement. That approach often led to turnovers and scoring chances for opposing teams. He told reporters, "Being simple and direct as a team, we are not doing it right now." The coach then described how those mistakes were affecting the team defensively, and when the Maple Leafs failed to move the puck safely out of their zone, opponents quickly turned those situations into attacks. Berube said, "It is coming back the other way on us, and it is going in our net." The situation created a difficult moment for the organization because the Maple Leafs remain one of the most closely followed teams in the National Hockey League. The franchise has not won the Stanley Cup since 1967, and because of that history, every losing streak quickly becomes a major topic across Canadian hockey media. At the same time, the team's roster includes some of the most recognized players in the league. Auston Matthews serves as the captain and remains one of the top goal scorers in the National Hockey League, while Mitch Marner and William Nylander also play major roles in the offense. When results fall short of expectations, attention often shifts toward leadership and performance inside the locker room. And while Brad Treliving publicly defended Craig Berube, the pressure surrounding the Toronto Maple Leafs continued to grow across the league. Vanessa P. Uno, the girlfriend of Auston Matthews, broke her silence only days after the Olympic final in Milan. The Instagram post showed Matthews celebrating his gold medal with her standing beside him. The caption was short, but the photos confirmed the relationship publicly for the first time. Within hours, the images were spreading across hockey coverage and social media. Auston Matthews entered the 2026 Winter Olympics as captain of Team USA. The tournament took place in Milan, Italy. The United States advanced through the competition and reached the gold medal game against Canada. The final game ended in overtime. Team USA defeated Canada 2-1 to win the Olympic title. The victory delivered the first Olympic gold medal for the United States men's hockey team in 46 years. Matthews played an important role during the tournament. He recorded 3 goals and 4 assists across the Olympic Games. His performance placed him among the leading contributors for Team USA during the event. Images from Milan showed Matthews celebrating the victory with teammates on the ice. The medal ceremony followed the final game. Matthews stood at center ice wearing the gold medal around his neck. At that moment, the story surrounding Matthews focused on the Olympic victory. But only a short time later, another development appeared online. Vanessa P. Uno posted photos on Instagram from Milan. The images showed Matthews standing beside her while still wearing the Olympic gold medal. The post included a short caption, "A month to remember forever." The photos confirmed something that had not been publicly discussed before. They showed Matthews and P. Uno together during the Olympic celebration. The images spread quickly across hockey coverage and social media platforms. Fans began sharing the photos soon after they appeared online. For many followers of the Maple Leafs captain, the post represented the first public confirmation of the relationship. And that is where the story connects back to the title. Because the moment fans describe as PU, no breaking silence, came directly from that Instagram post. Matthews had rarely spoken publicly about his personal life. Earlier reports had linked him to Emily Rutledge, a therapist based in California. However, Matthews had not publicly discussed that relationship in detail. Because of that history, the Milan photos stood out. They showed a personal moment that had not been visible before. The Olympic tournament had just ended. Team USA had just defeated Canada in the final, and Matthews had just stood on the ice holding a gold medal. Then the photos appeared online. They showed Matthews smiling while standing beside P. Uno during the celebration in Milan. The Olympic medal remained visible in several of the images. Fans quickly began reacting in the comment section of the post. Many congratulated Matthews for both the Olympic victory and the moment shared in the photo. The reaction spread quickly across sports media outlets. But there was another reason the moment gained attention. Matthews has built a reputation for keeping his personal life private. Throughout most of his NHL career, he has focused public attention on hockey. That approach made the Milan photos unusual. They showed a side of Matthews that had rarely appeared publicly before. And that brings the story back again again to the title, because the post from P. Uno acted as the first public confirmation of the relationship. The caption remained simple: a month to remember forever. The message referred to the period surrounding the Olympic tournament, but the images also showed the celebration that followed the gold medal victory. At the same time, Matthews continued preparing to return to the NHL schedule. The Olympic tournament took place during a break in the NHL season. After the event ended, Matthews returned to Toronto to rejoin the Maple Leafs. The NHL schedule resumed soon after the Olympic Games concluded. Matthews entered the Olympic break as one of the leading offensive players on the Maple Leafs roster. During the 2025-2026 season, he recorded 26 goals and 25 assists in 55 games. Those numbers placed him among the team's top scorers. Earlier in January 2026, Matthews had also reached a major milestone with the franchise. He scored his 421st career goal for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That goal made him the all-time leader in goals for the organization. The previous record belonged to Mats Sundin. Matthews reached the milestone in 664 NHL games. The achievement strengthened his role as one of the most important players in the history of the franchise. Matthews also carries one of the largest contracts in the league. His deal with the Maple Leafs carries an annual value of $13.25 million and runs through the 2027-2028 NHL season. That contract reflects his position as the central player on the Toronto roster. Because of that role, events connected to Matthews often draw attention from fans and media. The Milan photos became one of those moments. They appeared during the same week as the Olympic victory. They showed Matthews standing beside P. Uno while celebrating the gold medal. And the caption attached to the photos remained short but clear: a month to remember forever. The message stayed visible while fans continued sharing the images across social media. The photos captured two developments happening at the same time. One showed Matthews celebrating an Olympic championship with Team USA. The other revealed a personal relationship that had not been publicly confirmed before. Both events occurred within the same short period, and both became part of the story surrounding Auston Matthews during the 2026 hockey season.